Over the top, e-learning from Summit Salon, Lessons 6 and 7 with Jocie's Cosmetology School. Over the top, Lesson 6, Consulting. One of the most important factors that determine our financial success is our ability to give great consultations. When our guests don't buy more services and products, rebook their next appointment, or send us referrals, it's because they feel we didn't listen to them or we didn't understand or appreciate the look they wanted. Nothing closes the gap of misunderstanding of what our guest wants better than an extraordinary consultation. This is why becoming highly skilled at Top 20 Consulting is so important. Have you ever been down the road where you ask your guest, "How do you want your hair cut?" The guest tells you what she wants and you go to work on it. Halfway through the haircut, the guest shouts, "You aren't cutting it too short up there, are you?" Caught by surprise, you defensively reply, "Oh no, I'm cutting it just the way you said you wanted it." This kind of surprise tells us that there was a big gap between what the guest said and what we heard. This gap can be filled with a Top 20 consultation. Consulting is the second step of the power wheel, and it's about taking the time to have that crucial conversation with our guests before the service begins. The purpose is to help guests find a fantastic look they can get excited about. We do this by asking the right questions, discussing ideas, listening closely to the answers, and offering the best services to achieve that look, and then agreeing on a plan of action. There's an important connection between our back wheel technical skills and our success with Top 20 Consulting. The bicycle that we learned about in Lesson 3 showed us we can improve and expand our technical skills. We're able to offer a wider range of looks. We also learned technical training can give us better language and greater self-confidence when describing these new looks to our guests. We must never underestimate the impact of our technical skills that they have on our ability to give Top 20 consultations. One of the biggest differences between Top 20 Blue and Bottom 80 Red is Stylists Stuck in Bottom 80 do hair. Their consultations are all about the type of haircut the guest wants done today. Top 20s create looks in progress. They're looks that evolve over several visits. Top 20 stylists focus their conversations on coming into an agreement with guests about the look they want, the services they needed to begin evolving that look. Top 20s are highly skilled in choosing the best services, tools, and products for creating fantastic looks. So what makes up an evolving look? Not just the haircut, but the haircut, the color, the texture, conditioning treatments, chemical services, additional services, retail products, home hair care, styling products. Every time we come into an agreement with our guest about an evolving look, we're creating a need for them to receive more services, rebook and repeat visit, and take home retail products. So moving from doing hair to creating looks demands we develop the eyes to see beyond the haircut. A style portfolio or lookbook contains pictures of styles and services needed to create them. Creating our own lookbook gives us the confidence to show and discuss these looks with our guests because we know we can achieve them. It also helps us close the gap between what a guest is saying and what we are hearing. This understanding opens the door for discussions about new services we feel confident doing. When we shift the conversation from getting a haircut to creating a look in progress, we will never have to sell again because guests automatically become interested in the services and products we are offering. Many times a guest will bring a picture to describe what they want. Stylists stuck in Bottom 80 have a tendency to get annoyed at guests who do this. They think things like this: "I'm so sick of seeing that movie star's hair. There's no way she can have that look. Does she think I can work miracles?" Oftentimes behind that kind of a BS attitude is a fear of failure. What if I can't make it look like the picture? Or I don't know how to do this. When we talk about bonding in the last lesson, we discussed the tension a new guest feels upon meeting us for the first time. We saw how we could reduce the tension quickly by greeting guests warmly and putting them at ease. In consulting, we must raise another kind of energy, interest. When a guest gets a sense that we are interested in them and what they want, they become more interested in us and what we want for them. Having the right purpose is the best way to truly show guests we are interested in them. Having the right purpose is about being more interested in what we want for our guests instead of what we want from our guests. Many stylists believe their purpose is to get their guests to buy services and products from them. If selling is our purpose, our guests will feel sold and we will feel like pushy salespeople. But when our guests get a sense that our purpose for them is to give them a look that they feel great about and a look they can recreate at home, they become a lot more interested. In fact, there is a critical point during the consultation when tension falls and interest rises. When these 2 points intersect, we have achieved trust. When guests trust us, they listen better and are more likely to take us up on service suggestions we make. Telling our guests what we want for them is a great way to begin a top 20 consultation. It's called an opening statement. I'm going to read some examples that communicate the right purpose, raise guest interest, and include a permission request, which allows us to move forward with discovery questions. So, a new guest opening statement. It's important to me that you have a look that you feel great about and a look that you're going to be able to do at home. So before I get started, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Would that be all right? Then for a repeat guest opening statement. It's been a few visits since I checked in with you about what we've been doing with your hair. I always want to make sure that your look is fresh and up to date. So I'm thinking we could take a couple of minutes to talk. How does that sound? On the other hand, if our goal is to get something from our guests, our opening statement would sound something like this. It's important to me that you spend as much of your money with me as possible, so I'll be pushing you really hard to get more services and make sure you buy a bunch of retail and for sure rebook your next appointment. How does that sound? We wouldn't actually say anything like that, but when our purpose is to get something from our guests, it creates an energy that they pick up on. They then lose interest in us and what we have to offer. But the correct use of an opening statement sets the stage for us to ask a variety of questions and gives us an opening to make service suggestions later on. Another important part of Top 20 Consulting is to solve our guests' hair care problems. Hair care problems are the difference between what guests have that they don't want or what guests want and don't have. Most guests need help identifying and describing the problems they're having with their look. Our job is to help them by asking the right questions to get them talking about their problems and then offering the services they need to solve their problems and get what they want. Therefore, we have to find out what they like and don't like, what they have and don't want, and what they want and don't have. This information is extremely valuable because it helps us determine the services needed to create the looks our guests desire. The right open-ended or multiple choice questions will get our guests talking about their hair care problems. Open-ended questions are questions that require more than a yes or no answer. They generally start with what, why, and how. For example, what type of challenges are you having when you style your hair? Multiple choice questions are especially useful in helping guests who are unable to describe their hair care problems or are unsure of what they want. These types of questions provide descriptive choices that make it easier for our guests to answer. What are some qualities you would like to see more of in your color of hair? More warmth or richness? What words are dimension, softness, body, luster, sparkle? Have words brittle, thick, unmanageable, lifeless, split, drab? There are three types of open-ended and multiple choice questions: have, want, and cause. Using the right questions directs our guests, which helps them find the right service and product solution. What do you have that you don't want? These types of questions help to identify the guests' have that they don't want. What kinds of problems do you have when you style your hair at home? Is it hard to manage? Time-consuming? Not turning out how you would like it to? What do you want that you don't have? When asking the guests want, their choices become more important because often guests aren't aware of what the possibilities are. This type of question could help narrow it down. What qualities would you like to see more of in your hairstyle? Fullness, shine, depth, richness? What do you think is causing the problem? With cause questions, we're looking for what might be causing the problem with our guest's hair. For example, we know heat from dryers, flat irons, or curling irons play a role in damaging hair, as well as the sun, chlorine, or other environmental conditions. An example might be, what kinds of styling tools are you using at home? Asking our guests the right question is an important skill to have, but it will get us nowhere if we lack the skill to listen and hear their answers. When we were young, we learned to speak, we learned to write, we learned to read. But how many of us ever took a listening course? And yet effective listening is one of the most important tools top 20s call on every day with guests. Nothing closes the gap of misunderstanding of what our guests want better than top 20 listening skills. The most effective way to listen is with an open, calm, and quiet mind. Developing top 20 listening skills means making use of all the verbal, extraverbal, and nonverbal communication between us and our guests. Top 20 listening helps us quickly and effectively close the gap between what guests tell us they want and our understanding of what they're saying. The three parts that make up top 20 listening skills are guest-centered listening, non-judgmental listening, and focused listening. Listening is defined as hearing with the intent to understand. It sounds simple enough. So what keeps us from accomplishing this task? Bottom 80 listening habits, of course. Self-centered listening, judgmental listening, and distracted listening. Bottom 80 listening habits cause misunderstandings and lead to guest loss. Guest-centered listening is about giving our full attention to the guest and what the guest is sharing with us with nothing else on our mind. When we listen this way, we're able to ask great questions and get answers that help us better serve our guest. You are important and I'm interested in what you have to say. When guests sense this attitude, they're more likely to open up and trust our recommendations. Self-centered listening is when we have ourselves and our lives on our mind, when we're supposed to be listening to the guest. Self-centered listening isn't bad, it's a common habit that keeps us stuck in bottom 80. We may be thinking of our family, bills, a new car, a date, relationship problems. These things need our attention and may even be more interesting than what the guest is saying. But we end up not being able to focus on our guest's wants and needs. We are in self-centered listening and only listening to ourselves. Non-judgmental listening opens us up for gaining greater understanding of our guests and what they're trying to tell us. Listening this way gives our guests the feeling of being understood and makes them more receptive to the ideas and suggestions we offer them. Being non-judgmental empowers us with the confidence and wisdom to understand what guests are trying to tell us. Judgmental listening is when we're judging and criticizing ourselves or our guests. Our mind is busy judging or prejudging what they're saying, how they look, and what they want. In our head, we might say things like, I can't stand this guest. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Does she think I'm a magician? What does this guest think of me? Oh no, I don't think I can do what she wants me to do. Judgmental listening leads to misunderstanding and a dissatisfied guest who isn't interested in the services and retail we have to offer or in coming back as a repeat guest. Focused listening is about giving our full attention to the guest and not allowing ourselves to be distracted by what's going on. It only takes a second for us to miss something critical that can make all the difference for the rest of the appointment. If we are using focused listening, we'll catch many of these messages that usually appear in the form of wants and wishes. Focused listening helps us to determine what services to offer our guests that address the problems or concerns they bring up. Distracted listening is the habit of a bottom 80. It's when our attention is on other things that are going on in the salon. The average person is distracted 22 minutes of every hour. I mean, really, in a salon, where else can we hear 6 conversations going on at the same time? People walking by, music in the background, blow dryers roaring, looking at ourselves in the mirror. It's no wonder distracted listening is so dangerous. When guests sense we're distracted, they get the feeling we don't really care about them and are less likely to be interested in all of the great ideas we have for them. When we're distracted, we tend to be forgetful, and as a result, we may forget the answers a guest gives to us that can lead to more service and product sales. We have the potential to be top 20 listeners. The best way to achieve this is by avoiding the self-centered, judgmental, or distracted listening habits. You must practice the NCT, name, claim, and tame. Naming and claiming our bottom 80 listening habits allows us to break out of them by using the taming action of stop, not now. Every time we see ourselves slipping into self-centered, judgmental, or distracted listening, simply say stop, not now. From there, we redirect our attention back to our guest. Some of us who are used to listening from bottom 80 may need to catch ourselves frequently. It's well worth the effort because it can instantly bring us to top 20 listening. Paraphrasing is about restating back to the guest in our own words what we hear them say. It's the proof that we've been listening. Our first few efforts may sound forced or phony. However, as we get skillful, it will become a natural part of our consulting process. As an example, let me see if I understand what you're looking for. It sounds like you would like a look that gives your hair more body, more depth, and more richness and color, and is easier to take care of. Do I have this right? Through the process of asking open-ended questions and practicing top 20 listening, we discover critical information about our guest's hair. It's important to be able to utilize this information as we suggest services and products that best benefit the look our guests want. Our intention in this phase of consulting is to help guests find out what they need to do, use, and buy in order to get what they want. This may mean multiple service solutions such as haircuts, glazes, foils, lightening, darkening, corrective color, conditioning treatments, texture services, or any combination of the above. Getting guests permission to give them the feeling of being in control and involved. Now I understand the look you want. May I offer some suggestions? We could add warmth with color and depth with lowlights. Add movement, take out weight, and incorporate some layers. Focus on your eyes with a brow wax. Add more strength, shine, and body with a custom chemistry. Now we can combine the information we receive from the guest with the services we're suggesting. This gracefully moves us to the next step of the process by asking the guest to buy. The easiest and safest way to ask guests if they would like to try the services we're suggesting is by using the SANS approach. Smile as you ask the question. Ask the question. Nod your head gently as you ask. And then simply shut up and let the guest talk. Once we've asked the guest if they would like to purchase the service we've offered, There are a handful of guest reactions that we should anticipate getting. The better we are at gauging and understanding our guests' reactions, the more prepared we are to give a top 20 response. Do you have time to do this for me today? These are guests who want to go for all of our suggested services. We call them guest gifts. They make our job easy. A top 20 response might be, I'd love to do that for you today. Guest, no, I need to think about it, or no, not today, or no, I don't have the extra money for that. When they say no, the most important thing we can do is not take it personally and stop feeling like a dork. You have to realize every time you make an offering, you're planting a seed of opportunity to evolve their look over future visits. The top 20 response might be, I understand. Let me jot down what we talked about today so that if you decide to do this later on, I have a record of what we discussed. Guest, how much does it cost? This question is usually an indicator that our guests are interested in the services we're offering them. They need clarity about the cost before moving forward. The most important thing we can do in this situation is to not panic. Instead, simply answer the question with confidence and allow them to choose. So a top 20 response might be, the charge for that service would be X dollars and would take about X minutes. Would you like me to do that for you today? The good news is the more skillful we get at service offerings, the more yeses we'll get from our guests. The key elements to top 20 consulting: creating a style portfolio or lookbook, face-to-face and hands-off, making sure we're at the guest's eye level and avoid talking to them in the mirror during the consultation. Beginning with an opening statement. A good opening statement makes two promises. It helps our guests find a look they're going to love and make sure they can take care of their look at home. Ask open-ended questions. Great questions get our guests talking about what they like and don't like, and more importantly, what they want and don't want. Listen. Stop, not now. Practice. That way, if you catch yourself slipping into bottom 80, you can get right back to top 20 listening. Use a clipboard. It shows our guests we care enough to record and monitor what we talk about. We appear organized, prepared, and efficient. It's also a great place to hide notes, questions, and scripts. Paraphrase. Repeat back to the guest what we heard is a great gap closing technique that can prevent misunderstanding and guest loss. Getting permission and offering suggestions for a service before we actually present it is a great way to keep our guests involved. Asking with SANS. Use this approach to ask guests if they would like to try the services we're suggesting. Remember to avoid the asking blunders. Bottom 80 consultation crushers. These are common examples of how we crush opportunities for greater income by falling into bottom 80 consulting. First, we have the speed demons, speeding through consultation and assuming we know what they want. We're often interrupting guests by saying, yeah, I got it. Let's go ahead and get going. Then we have the same old one-cut wonders. Because it's been such a long time since attending any kind of advanced training, we've fallen into the rut of complacency, doing the same old look on the same old guest in the same old way, year after year after year after year after. The nots. Not paying attention, not asking questions, not taking notes, not making offerings, and therefore not going to succeed. The fraidy cat, never offering services because we're afraid guests will say no. We're running behind, or we're worried about the service blowing up on us. In fact, we're afraid of just about everything. Picture hatred. Hating it when guests bring in pictures or point to any kind of picture book because their look never turns out like the picture. Guests have unrealistic expectations, and if I have to cut that starlet's look one more time, I'm gonna barf. Hands in the hair. As soon as the guest sits in our chair, we immediately put our hands into their hair and start playing with it, leaving no room for our guests to show us what they want. Mirror talker. Instead of making eye contact with the guest, they talk to themselves in the mirror. Mirror talking is great for those who can't get enough of admiring their own image. So identify those consultation crushers you can relate to the most. I mean, come on, we're all a little guilty. How does the one you chose crush opportunities to sell more services in your consultation? 6 steps to a top 20 consultation. Begin with an opening statement. When I begin working with someone new, I like to take the time to ask a few questions. It's important to me that you have a look that you feel great about, and a look that you're going to be able to do at home. Would that be okay? Ask open-ended questions. If you could have your hair any way you wanted it, how would it look? Listen and write down answers on your clipboard. Recording notes about guest likes and dislikes and possible services comes in handy for future visits. Paraphrasing. I want to make sure I understood what you're looking for. It sounds like you would like a look that is just a bit shorter, and then doing something with the color to brighten up the look. Does that sound right? Getting permission and offering suggestions. Color plays a big role in the look we're moving toward. We can really do something interesting with some soft highlights around the front and some lowlights throughout the sides and back. This is what it would look like. How does that sound? And finally, ask for the commitment. Use the SANS approach. Smile. Ask the question. I have time to do that color for you today. Would you like me to do that for you? And nod while you're saying it. And then simply shut up and let them answer. So in summary, one of the main reasons new guests don't buy more services and products, rebook, or come back as repeat guests is because they feel we didn't listen, didn't understand, or didn't appreciate the look they wanted. When we fail to check in and reconsult with our repeat guests, they begin to feel taken for granted and end up going somewhere else in order to get a new, fresh perspective and look. Becoming highly skilled at doing top 20 consultations is crucial to building a great clientele. Time for action. What are some technical skills you have learned that would make a difference in how you talk to a guest during the consultation? What are some ideas for putting a style portfolio lookbook together? List what we traditionally want from our guests. List what we traditionally want for our guests. Now, using your for list, write an opening statement for a new guest. And finally, for a repeat guest. What could happen if our opening statement has the wrong intention? What are some of the problems guests share with you about their current look? What are some of the words guests use to describe what they want that they don't have, or have that they don't want? Write a script for getting a color conversation started with guests who are not currently color guests. Give examples of each bottom 80 listening habit. Self-centered, judgmental, and finally distracted. How does it make you feel when you can tell someone is listening to you from self-centered, from judgmental, or from distracted? How could you practice using the taming action of stop, not now, with guests? What about practice with coworkers? Or practice with friends? What did you learn about paraphrasing, getting permission, and offering suggestions that you didn't know before? What is your biggest fear about asking your guests to buy a service? Give an example of how a bottom 80 asking blunder sabotaged your ability to sell more services. Anatomy of a look. Choose any fashionable hairstyle. Make a list of all the services needed to create that look. Now make a list of all the products needed to create that look. Write a script offering the service needed for this look to the client. Write a script for offering the products needed for this look to the client. Creating a style portfolio or lookbook. This great look is achieved by shape, color, shampoo and conditioner, styling. The lookbook questions from the previous slide. What type of haircut would be needed to create this look? What type of color services were used to achieve this look? What texturizing services were used? What home hair care products are needed to maintain this healthy look? What styling products and tools were used? What additional services were used to achieve this overall look? What about the eyebrows and makeup? Do I feel confident in my skills to achieve this look? What is a color service you wish more of your guests bought from you? Remember to use a technical description for the back wheel. Translate this description of service for our guests. Use descriptive words and language for the front wheel. Top 20 script worksheet. Write an opening statement for a new guest. Next, write an opening statement for a repeat guest. Write some open-ended questions. Listen and write down your answers on your clipboard. Practice stop, not now. Paraphrase back to the guest what you heard. Get permission and offer suggestions. And finally, ask for the commitment. Top 20 Consultation Discovery Practice Sheet. You could use this for your next consultation. Write your guest's name. What hair problems do they have that they don't want? What qualities do they want that they don't have? Decide on some possible service suggestions. Decide on possible home hair care products. Styling suggestions and possible styling products. Rebook clues and possible referrals to ask about. Over the top, Lesson 7, Servicing. The servicing process is the longest part of a guest's appointment and provides us with many opportunities to use our technical and communication skills in ways that make our guests look and feel great. Guests return to us, send in referrals, and buy more of our service and products because the experience they have in our chair is extraordinary. This is called Top 20 Service. Developing top 20 service skills is a major key in achieving sudden and dramatic jumps in personal income. Have you ever noticed how nervous guests get when they've been sitting alone with hair color on their head? Anytime they see someone walk by, they say things like, "Can you find my hairdresser? I think she forgot about me, and I know I'm done." And then someone runs into the back room and yells, "Hey, you better get out there right now. You've got a caller guest going psycho." This, of course, catches us off guard, embarrasses us, and makes us annoyed. On the way over to them, we say to ourselves, "How rude. They must think I'm stupid. I know what I'm doing. She's not even done yet. I've got 5 more minutes before I have to take it off, for crying out loud." This is a common example of what happens to guests who are left uninformed, uninvolved, and all alone with their chemical on their head. Top 20 servicing is all about preventing these kinds of events from happening. Servicing is the third step of the power wheel and is best defined as providing our guests with an extraordinary service experience. The single biggest reason our guests return to us, send in referrals, and buy more of our services and products is because of the experience they have in our chair, if it's extraordinary. When we give top 20 service, our guests' level of anxiety is low and their interest is high. And as a result, they feel good about themselves and willing to spend more money and build a trusting relationship with us. There are 3 essential parts that make up top 20 servicing. Part 1 is balancing guest conversations and managing guest relationships. Part 2, selling home hair care products. And part 3, getting guests to rebook their next appointment. There's a direct connection between our technical skills and our ability to give top 20 service. Strong technical skills automatically empower us with the ability to offer guests a wider range of new looks. Understanding the products used to produce outstanding technical results is a must. That is why it's so important to build the technical skills of the back wheel of our bicycle. We must be aware of how our guests view our skills. Many guests watch us closely because they're interested in what we're doing. Therefore, we must be able to do the service smoothly and skillfully. As our technical skill level goes up, so does our confidence and ability to give our attention to other important parts of the servicing process, such as home hair care and rebook. There are 2 kinds of conversations that happen during a guest visit: social and professional. Many stylists stuck in bottom 80 are either because they are shy, afraid, or unsure of what to say and therefore say little or nothing. Or they feel it's not their job to entertain their guests with small talk. All they want is for the guest to shut up and sit still so they can concentrate on the haircut. In both cases, these stylists end up not talking about anything and miss opportunities to bond with guests. Too little socializing limits our potential for greater income by preventing us from having professional conversations. There are many different social conversations that happen every day in the salon between stylists and guests. Many guests love to talk to us. They think our lives are interesting, and it seems like they want to know everything about us. Stylists stuck in bottom 80 are more than willing to accommodate their guests by spending too much time talking about themselves. Most of these self-defeating social conversations begin when our guest asks, "So, what's new with you?" When left unchecked, these topics can lead to small pay by turning guests off and driving the people working around us crazy from hearing over and over and over again. While some small talk is necessary for creating a bond with our guests, stylists stuck in bottom 80 spend way too much time socializing and too little time having conversations that relate to the services their guests are having done. There's a big difference between being guest-friendly and making guests our friends. Being friendly to a guest is part of the bonding process, but the moment we make a guest our friend, we feel the pressure to discount our price or give away a service for free. Nothing condemns us to a lifetime sentence in the prison of bottom 80 income more than the need to be liked by friends who used to be our guests. I'm getting a deal on this, right? We do this by getting guests involved in what we're doing in the service process. Involving guests by breaking the habit of too little or too much small talk, allows us to redirect the social conversation to a professional one. They get interested and excited about how their look is evolving. When guests feel this way, they spend more money, come back more often as guests, and not just as friends who expect friendly discounts and giveaways. Selling home hair care products is an excellent opportunity to have a professional conversation with the guests about what they're using. Hair care falls into 3 groupings: shampoos, conditioners, and treatments. Conditioners can further be broken down into 3 categories: rinse-outs, leave-ins, and treatments. The right combination of home hair care can transform hair's inner structure as well as dramatically improve its outer appearance, as top 20s know. That's why they make teaching their guests about home hair care a part of the professional conversation during the service experience. Most of us find it easier to sell home hair care products to guests who color their hair, so let's begin there. Checking in during a clinical service gives us an opportunity to begin teaching guests about the benefits of using shampoos and conditioners. We do this by stressing the importance of avoiding products that fade and damage color-treated hair. We also emphasize that the hair needs to heal from the chemical process. Some shampoos and conditioners will actually slow down that healing. Last but not least, we recommend the shampoo and conditioner that will quicken the healing process and prolong the life of the color. The professional conversations that many stylists find the most difficult are selling retail products. Stylists stuck in bottom 80 hate talking to their guests about buying retail products. They believe that selling retail has nothing to do with becoming successful, and that asking guests to buy retail isn't why we became a stylist. They say things like, "I hate selling retail. It makes me feel sleazy. I'm not going to sell that crap to my guests. My guests don't want me to talk about that crap. If I wanted to sell that crap, I'd be working at a cosmetics counter. I'm not a salesperson. I'm just creative." So stop selling and start teaching. The single biggest reason stylists stuck in bottom 80 hate selling is because they believe the act of offering retail to their guests makes them look pushy, sleazy, and manipulative. They're totally unaware of an important fact. It's not the act of selling retail that makes us feel like we're high-pressured, manipulative salespeople. It's our intention for offering retail that makes the difference. If our intention is to sell product to our guests at their loss and our gain, we are indeed high sale pressure people. However, and this is important, a top 20's intention is to teach guests how to make their look work for them when they style their hair at home. They believe the products they use are liquid tools a guest needs, and the act of offering retail is an act of teaching and serving, not of pushing and selling. We are serving the greater good of our guests, and that is an honorable act. Guests buy products not because of what the product is, but because of what the product does. When we talk too much about what the product is or what's in the product, our guests get a sense they are being sold, and they hate being sold. But they do love to buy. The secret to getting guests to buy home hair care products is to start talking about what the product does to help them get the look they want. When we talk about what a product is and what's in a product, we're talking about its features. When we talk about what a product does or means for the guest, we're talking about benefits. Whenever we're teaching our guests about home hair care products, we should focus 20% of our attention on describing the features and 80% of our attention on teaching guests about the benefits. So, feature, what it is. Shampoo with micronet, UVA and UVB filters, cranberry oil and ceramide. The benefits: gently cleanses, provides anti-fade protection, and maximizes vibrancy. Leaves hair strong, shiny, and manageable. For conditioner, with apricot oil, glucosamine, and glycerin. The benefit: helps restore moisture without weighing it down, leaves hair replenished, light, and shiny. So what your script might say: I love this shampoo and conditioner. It's made such a difference for so many of my guests who color their hair. It keeps their hair strong and in great shape. I never worry about their color fading. For professional treatments, a feature what it is with camelina, avocado oil, and olive oil. Benefit, what it does. Custom formulas that address common hair needs like strength, moisture, color protection, softness, frizz, control, and repair. A script might say, one of the services I have always wanted to do for you is a custom treatment. I offer it to guests like you who need to bring more strength and moisture into their hair. The words we use make a huge difference when we're describing the benefits of home hair care products. When we expand our language and vocabulary, it gives guests an exciting, impressive, and memorable experience, which always brings greater prosperity into our lives. It's said we make our world by using our words. Here's a list of words that promise to make our financial world better. Some words describe problems that need solved, others describe positive qualities that home hair care can offer. One of the most unique aspects of our business is that our guests give us permission to physically touch them. In that unique way, what we do is similar to the medical profession, yet there's a big difference. Our guests look forward to the relaxing experience of the shampoo, but a patient will say, you can touch me, doc, but hurry up. Touch what you've got to touch, then get out of here because I don't like this at all. That big difference gives us a huge advantage. We have the incredible power to make our guests feel good physically by our touch. There's no better time to use the power of touch to relax guests and put them in the spending spirit than during the shampoo massage process. This is part of the part of the service experience that our guests enjoy the most. They might even say things like, this is my favorite part. You can do this forever. I wish I could have this done every day. Oh, that feels so good. Some guests don't say anything at all, but they make the most amazing sounds. Top 20s are keenly aware of the importance of the shampoo and conditioning process and are highly skilled at making a big deal of giving a great shampoo massage. Stylist Cotton Bottom 80 might save a couple of minutes by doing a quick shampoo, but in the end, they lose a lot of guests and money by not giving a big deal shampoo massage. Avoid falling into the Bottom 80 hoser habit of thinking the shampoo conditioning process is no big deal. If we get into the habit of rushing through the process, we end up ruining the guest experience. Symptoms of a Bottom 80 hoser might be hosing the guest down with a water pressure so intense it will feel pain, backwashing the guest's clothes from reckless rinsing, giving the guest two choices of water temperature, ice cold or scalding hot, or Kung Fu Masters of the 20-second shampoo. For years, many of us have been trained to talk to our guests about the products we're using as we wash and condition their hair at the shampoo bowl. If this method works for you to sell retail products, by all means keep up the good work. But for those of us who have found that this method has stopped working, we suggest saving the home hair care conversation for the middle of the haircut or collar service and allow the guest to enjoy the experience of a big deal shampoo massage. Many guests have heard the product pitch at the shampoo bowl so many times they're now numb to it. Talking about home hair care in the middle of the service is a great place to begin a new approach. If we involve guests during the service process by talking to them about what we're doing and the results we're trying to achieve, there's a greater chance they'll become more interested in our suggestions and recommendations. They may say things like, what do you think I should use on my hair? It's a direct invitation to give our recommendation on the shampoos and conditioners we carry, especially for color-treated hair. Whether their hair needs moisture, volume, softness, control, or strength and repair, there's a wide range of state-of-the-art products to fill those needs. An example script might be, in any given month, I do 40 to 45 color services, and here's what I use that supports the color. Many of my guests use this and love how it protects their hair, so I would recommend the easiest and safest way to ask guests if they would like to try the home hair care products we're suggesting is by using the SANS approach. Smile, ask, nod, and then shut up. Some guests tell us they're using an over-the-counter product that they got at the grocery store. What they usually say is, I've been using blah blah, and I like what it does. Comments like that can trigger a judgmental, sarcastic response. In some of us, we end up blurting out comments about the product at the risk of offending our guest. You're not using that crap, are you? I use that stuff to get the grease off my stove, or really, even my dog hates the smell of that. Regardless of what we think about that product, we must never make comments that make guests feel stupid. A better response would be, keep an eye on what you're using. You will know in a couple of days if it's supporting the look we've created today. If there's any difference between how your hair looks 2 days from now versus when you leave, it's probably related to the product you're using. I'll make a note of what I use today so I can remember for you. Some guests are unsure of the value of our suggestions, and their unfavorable reactions will require a graceful response. Don't get discouraged, and remember, we're planting seeds for future visits. Here are common guest reactions accompanied by graceful responses. Are you trying to sell me, or do you get commission when you sell these products? Simply turn your guests toward you, apologize, and clarify your intentions. I apologize if I've offended you. My intention is to educate you on how to take care of your hair at home and maintain the look we've achieved today. Guests, I like what I'm using, or I'll use up what I have. Don't criticize your guests. When we're critical of the guest product choices, their anxiety goes up and their trust in us drops. Guests need proof that what we're saying is true. Top 20 response might be, great, you'll know in a couple of days if what you're using now is going to make that look work for you. Guest, shampoo and conditioner are all pretty much the same, right? Some guests are skeptical. Don't push. Offer proof by sharing examples of guests who have had success with your product. It helps the guests see the value in what you're offering. So a top 20 response might be, well, just as you would be careful about how you would clean an expensive silk blouse, you want to be just as careful about what you're using to protect and prolong the new color we just put into your hair today. An alternative could be, I just treated your hair with a chemical color service. In essence, I've done surgery on your hair. I've opened up the cuticle. Be mindful of using products that are specifically designed to heal quickly and strengthen your hair. Guest, how much is this going to cost me? Some guests are price conscious. Don't assume that means no. They just need help feeling comfortable about spending money. Make it affordable by breaking down the price into a few cents a day. Doing this eliminates their guilt about spending money. A top 20 response might be, I appreciate your concern about the cost. What's great about this product is it works so well you only need a small amount. It ends up costing you only a few cents a day. Guest, I can buy it cheaper down the street. Some guests are misinformed about buying products for less money in other stores. Once guests understand the direct benefit to them in getting the product from the salon, they're more likely to spend their money with us. They need a reason to buy the product from us. So a top 20 response might be, my hope is you would buy it from me. Most of the proceeds we get from guests who buy products from our salon fund our education. A couple of times a year, I go to advanced training to learn the latest trends so that when I return, I have new ideas to offer you. Top 20 stylists know being well trained in product knowledge is essential to building a top 20 clientele. As a result, they sell more home hair care products, retain more guests, and earn substantially more money. The key elements of top 20 servicing. Continue improving those technical skills. Never before has having a deeper understanding and wider range of technical skills in all of the following areas been so critical to our greater financial success. Cut and design, color, texture and straightening, and tools. Clean and orderly station. Guests sit in our chair need to have a clear view of our station, and need to see an orderly station, and it sends a message to our guests we're competent and can be trusted to take good care of them. Be sure to balance your social and professional conversations. Social conversations play a role in the servicing process by lowering tension and increasing guest rapport. Professional conversations encourage our guests to buy more services in retail, rebook their next appointment, or send in referrals. Use the redirecting technique when the conversation has become too social. Teach guests about home hair care. Checking in during chemical service gives us an excellent opportunity to begin teaching guests about the benefits of using shampoos and conditioners. Big deal shampoo massage. It's that part of the service experience that our guests enjoy the most. Top 20s are keenly aware of the importance of the shampoo and conditioning process and highly skilled at making a big deal of giving a great shampoo and massage. Steps for selling home hair care products. Check in with a guest. I'm checking your collar and it's looking great. We have a few minutes left before we rinse off. Educate the guests on the importance of home hair care. By the way, start paying closer attention to what you're using to shampoo and condition your hair. What we use on our hair makes a much bigger difference in getting our look right every day than most people think. I just want to make sure that whatever you're using is doing the most to support your great look. Does that make sense? Step 3, home hair care product recommendations. Every day, I depend on this product to protect and strengthen my guest's hair after I've collared it. That's why I recommend. Step 4, ask for the commitment and handle guest resistance or reactions when necessary. I apologize if I've offended you. My intention is to educate you on how to take care of your hair and at home and maintain the look we've achieved today. And step 5, ask for the commitment. Would you like to get started on the shampoo and conditioner we use today? The single most important action that drives up our repeat business is our ability to rebook our guests for their next visit. The servicing step of the Power Wheel provides an excellent opportunity to have a professional conversation with guests about reserving their next appointment. Top 20 success strategies for rebooking guests who rebook with us. Gives us 2 to 3 more visits per year than guests who don't. Enable us to earn much greater income because they return more frequently. Create a more predictable financial future for us and eliminate financial uncertainty. Allow us to continue evolving their look by planning the services and products we will offer them during their next visit. Buy more chemical services, additional services and products, and send in more referrals who are likely to rebook with us. The bottom line is that rebooking empowers us to make a lot more money by building an awesome repeat clientele in the fastest period of time. Traditionally, asking guests to rebook always happens at the front desk when the service is finished. It sounds something like, "Would you like to reserve your next appointment?" At that point, the guest's typical response is, "No, that's okay, I'll just call." The disadvantage of waiting until the end to ask about rebooking is that for most guests, the appointment's over, their attention has moved on to what they need to do next. I need to get back to work. I've got to pick up the kids. What am I going to make for supper? When we reconsider the timing of a rebook conversation, we realize there's a better option with a much higher success rate. The middle of the service process. This is the time we're able to talk to our guests about the look we're creating and how we would like to evolve that look. Top 20s know that great looks are never completed in the first visit. Great looks evolve over several visits. Therefore, we must emphasize to our guests how several visits will continue to evolve their look. Failure to rebook puts us both back at the beginning. We have to start over just to maintain the look, losing the opportunity to move forward and evolve. One of the most common mistakes some stylists make is waiting to see if a new guest returns for a second or third visit before asking them if they want to book. Stylists who are stuck in bottom 80 say they are afraid to ask new guests to reserve for the next appointment because before asking new guests to rebook, I always wait for them to come back to see me first. That way I know they really like me and are pleased with what I do. If I do ask the guest to rebook and they say no, that means they don't like what I've done, and for sure they don't like me. I hate it when that happens. Asking on the first visit is just too risky because I'm not sure they'll like me and I don't want to be rejected. Top 20s know the fastest way to build a strong repeat clientele is by getting new guests to rebook. They do this by bonding, consulting, and servicing new guests in ways that create an extraordinary experience. Guests then look forward to coming back and are happy to reserve their next appointment. There will be some guests who are resistant to rebooking. Don't get discouraged by this. Respond gracefully and remember that once again, we're planting seeds and those seeds will take root. Here's a common guest reaction and suggestion on how to gracefully respond to it. Guest: I don't have my calendar with me, so I don't know what I have open. I'll just call you. Top 20 response might be, no problem. Let's reserve a time that you think will work and put it down now. If you find that it doesn't work, just give me a call and we'll find a time that does. If we wait too long, I won't be able because I'm booked up pretty quick. The top 20 elements are the key elements of top 20 servicing. Rebooking and the big four. The third part of the big four is repeat, and rebook is one of the main activities of building a strong repeat clientele. Rebooking and the evolving look. Top 20s are keenly aware of the importance of creating looks that evolve over several visits. Getting our guests to rebook their next visit within a 4 to 6 week window of time is a must for keeping their look fresh, evolving, and up to date. Timing the rebook. A great time to ask guests to rebook is in the middle of the service process, instead of waiting until the end of the appointment. Bottom 80 service stompers. Automatic pilot. Instead of giving the guest an extraordinary service experience with home hair care and rebook offerings, we go on automatic pilot and do hair in our sleep. At best, the service is ordinary. At worst, it's substandard. Messy Missy. Servicing guests in a messy, grubby, and disorganized manner, having no regard for water or color dripping down the guest's face, neck, and back, causing the guest to feel frustrated, annoyed, and embarrassed. The deserter. Carelessly deserting caller service guests who may fret and worry. Meanwhile, the deserter leaves to eat, smoke, rest, and complain. All the while, a nervous guest sits with chemical solution dripping, burning, and wondering, where the heck is my hairdresser? My scalp's on fire. Low charge, no charge. Making friends with their guests and then keeping their new friends happy by giving them free service and or charging them lower prices. The avoider. Avoiding any conversations that involve selling home hair care products and rebooking their guests because doing that makes for a pushy salesperson, and I'll die broke before I let that happen. X-ray vision, using superpowers to look into their guests' purses and decide who can afford the very expensive real products the salon sells. Always concluding, I'm not going to try to sell these expensive products to my guests. They're like me. They don't have that kind of money. And the chatterbox. Compulsive talkers who spend the entire appointment talking and more talking about themselves, their drama, and all their stuff. As a result, they never get around to talking about the guest's look. Identify the service stompers you can relate to most. How has the service stomper held you back from giving your guests an extraordinary service experience and enjoying greater income? Steps for rebooking guests. Check in with the guests. I'm checking your color and it's looking great. We have a few minutes left before we rinse off. Present a reservation. I'm excited about the look that we are working on for you. It would be great if I could see you in 5 weeks. That way we can keep your look moving forward. That would be the 3rd week of October. Is there a day that week that works for you to make a reservation? Handle guest resistance or reactions when necessary. No problem. Let's find a day and time that you think will work and reserve it. If you find it doesn't work, just give me a call and we'll find a time that does. If we wait too long to reserve, I won't be available at a time that works for you because I'm booking up quickly. Servicing is the 3rd step of the power wheel, and it's all about giving an extraordinary experience to each and every guest who sits in our chair. The servicing step is made up of many parts: balancing social and professional conversations, performing the service effectively, teaching guests about home hair care products, and rebooking repeat visits to keep their look evolving. Building a great clientele demands we become highly skilled at top 20 servicing, all of which leads to an income beyond our wildest dreams. Time for action. How does the level of your technical skills impact the quality of your guest service experience? Describe an extraordinary guest service experience. Write down a technical skill you would like to improve. List 3 ways you can improve that technical skill. On a scale of 1, 1 being very little small talk, to 10, a lot of small talk, how would you rate conversations with your guests? What would a balanced social and professional conversation look like to you? How has too much or too little small talk gotten in the way of you giving your guests a great service experience? How can you prevent yourself from talking too much about yourself? How do you feel about selling home hair care products? What is the difference between selling and teaching? List 2 shampoos, 2 conditioners, and 2 treatments. List the product name and features of each and benefits of each. Then write a script about those benefits. What would help you feel more confident when you ask guests to reserve their next appointment? What does 2 to 3 more visits from your guests per year mean for you financially? How would asking for the reservation during the service change your guest response and increase your success rate? Steps for selling home hair care products. Step 1. Check in with the guest. Make eye contact. Reassure guests that everything is going as planned. Write your reassuring statement for a hair color guest. Step 2. Educate on the importance of home hair care. Write your teaching script. Step 3. Home hair care recommendations. Choose a shampoo and conditioner for a haircut-only guest. Write your home hair care recommendations for haircut guests. Choose a shampoo and conditioner for a hair color guest. Write your home hair care recommendations for hair color guest. Steps for rebooking guests. Checking in with the guest. Make eye contact and smile. Reassure the guest everything is going as planned. This could be the same reassuring statement used for your home hair care presentation. Rebook presentation. Make sure you have a calendar available. Write your script for making a rebook presentation. Remember to use the terms reservation or reserve, not rebook or pre-book. Thank you for joining us for lessons 6 and 7 on e-learning with Jocie's Cosmetology School.